really dynamic.
We're up here on Loveland Pass again. It's actually been about 6 months. No, it's been
More than 6 months.
It's been like 9 months since we were up here. Yeah, so we pulled off at one of the first pull-offs. Got this really nice view of the A Basin ski area. We are out here today also, so Kemper can share some of his thoughts on his R4. Actually, this was the first place you shot with it, wasn't it?
It is, 9 months ago. We thought it was appropriate to come back and kind of talk about some of the pros, the cons, the interestingness that is the A7R4, because I think there's some misconceptions around this camera. People are like both love it and are frustrated by it, and that's actually kind of my experience with it. Is I love it, I'm frustrated with it, but what you can do with it is you can do some truly amazing things with it. You can. So we are up to the top of Loveland Pass. Well, yeah, the top of Loveland Pass. Right.
We're about to go up that.
Yup.
Right over there. We made it to the top of this little mountain. I think, is that Grizzly Peak over there?
No, that's Grizzly Peak.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about a few of the body improvements that most of them are really nice. So I have a small rig L bracket on here that has a little bit of extra grip to it, which I actually really like this L bracket. It's not very heavy, and it adds that little extra grip, and it even has some extra grip material on there. It's really nice. So body improvements, like this has been covered to death in so many reviews, but I can kind of talk to you about my experience with them. Probably the most talked about is that the exposure compensation now has a locking dial on it. Honestly, I haven't used it that often, and I mean, it's nice that it's there. I normally leave it unlocked because I actually use the exposure compensation dial quite a lot. The dials and buttons are a lot nicer. They're larger. Certainly the AF on button is larger. They're a lot nicer. They have more, they're easier to press. The AF on, I would like if the AEL, because I use it almost as often, was the same size. So you had two same size buttons there, but kind of whatever on that. And all the buttons are nicer, the dials are nicer. I would maybe like this to be like, if Sony, if you're listening, this dial could be twice the size. I mean, there's just no reason. No, like it could be right here, and like it just would be so nice. Actually, there's a really nice shot going on over there. Gonna snag. Actually, gonna really blow out the foreground. Deeper grip. It's nice. It doesn't matter that much. Certainly, I have it on the extended grip, battery grip quite often, and that's, if anything, that makes it almost feel a little too large in comparison to the R3. So anyway, the 2 card slots and the card slot holder, turn it off. This is much better, much better. 5D Mark 3 and 4 style, like the cards are right there. I love that, and it feels just so much more sealed and locked in there. Screen's the same as the R3, which is a huge disappointment because it's actually the worst part of the Sony cameras is the resolution on the screen, and the sharpness and brightness is just not as nice as other cameras. The EVF, on the other hand, is amazing. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. Everything everybody says about it is true. So I have been shooting with the 135 on it all day, as you've probably seen. 135 is what I would say is this camera's soulmate, so to say. Like the 135 and this camera belong together, so I almost wouldn't have one without the other. You have to have good glass to have this camera really be worth it. Otherwise, just go with the R3. There's like, you're not losing that much. The EVF's not quite as good. Some of the body designs aren't as nice, but honestly, like, actually, need to get a shot of the lights. Looking really good. You guys are getting a preview of what everybody else deals with when they're out with me, because I just stop everything to grab a shot. Probably.
Look at the cloud texture on that.
Actually, this is really nice light. You're getting that. I don't need to be shooting it. 1.8 though. So, if I'm just being honest, as someone who's started to use this camera quite a bit, it's not a good, like, daily driver, do everything camera. The autofocus is fast, it's good, but it's not super duper consistent. I wouldn't say with a lot of lenses, particularly, like, there's not been a zoom on it that I've been blown away with. I just, to be honest, there's been like the 200 to 600. I literally thought I had a bad copy until I tried it out on another camera, and it was brilliantly sharp. I actually love that lens. I really wish it worked better with this camera. The 100 to 400 is better, but I actually sold that to get the 135 because the 135 is a better match. More shots. I need
more shots. Oh wow, look at that. Completely different.
So one key difference between the R4 and the R3 is going to be the ISO performance. Just frankly put, the R4's ISO performance is not as good as the R3's. Like ISO 400 is where you're going to kind of lose the wow factor of the 61 megapixels. It's not that the images are bad below ISO 400, above ISO 400. They're absolutely not. They're definitely usable. I just, you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference between them and the R3, like a 42 megapixel image. And honestly, that's a real common theme that I found with the R4 is that, like, for a while last fall, I used them next to each other. And the truth is that with a lot of lenses and in a lot of scenarios, I couldn't tell which were my R3 shots and which were my R4 shots in Lightroom. So that being said, there are some moments with some lenses that like are pure magic with the R4.
Sun came back out again for a minute. Think you got any good shots?
Yeah, I think so. I ran back to the car and got my 85 because I wanted to get some more of the green in the foreground. It's another one of the lenses that works, it pairs really well with the R4 is the 85 GM. You have to watch the autofocus with it though. You have to be a little more careful and double check, and it can be a little jittery sometimes, but the image quality is fantastic with the 85 on the R4. Just phenomenal. I really love the character of the 85. It's maybe not as sharp as the 135, but I feel like it has just a little more character. I feel like the color is a little more unique. I feel like so.
All right, so we ended up picking this location for sunset. We've got a beautiful view, 360-degree mountains on all sides, and the clouds look to be warming up for some really beautiful colors. We'll have to see. There's definitely some stuff going on towards where the sun's setting, so we'll have to see if that kind of messes things up or not. But
it's cold, it's windy, and we are wrapping up this sunset shoot. As you can see, you'll see some awesome shots here that we're getting right now. So I guess I kind of want to conclude my thoughts on the a7R4 because, like I mentioned earlier, I got it last fall. I've thought, I've gone back and forth on getting rid of it, on whether the R3 is better, and ultimately I really have settled on that I think this camera has a lot of potential if you kind of learn how to use it right and you give it the right tools to work with, so to say. So like right now I've got it shooting, it's actually shooting intervals for kind of a time lapse, and then also to try to get the perfect shot of this particular composition, although I really wish the sky was a little more sky in the composition. I may fix it here in a second. I guess this hasn't really been a review per se, is more just kind of like from my perspective, which is honestly, that's what I'm going to be good at giving, because I'm not a reviewer. I'm a landscape photographer, and the a7R4 is a tool that I use to take landscapes, and in that role it shines. You kind of have to harness its power though. Like I said before, it's a lot more niche than the R2 and both the R2 and the R3. If you buy this camera thinking that you're getting a general use, everyday camera, I think you're going to wind up frustrated. The 61 megapixels, it's really hard to get shots that that really showcase the full range of those 61 megapixels. And you have to use specific lenses, I've found. I'm shooting almost all prime now, so that in order to really be able to put the best that I can in front of this camera, and as you know, in that role, it can really perform well. I think that the autofocus maybe needs a little bit of tweaking. Like I said, it's a little inconsistent. I don't trust it on every lens. I trust it on the 135, I trust it on the 24, but the 85, and certainly on any zoom lens, I don't trust it on. And that's something else I didn't actually talk about, was that the file sizes are huge. And it's a whole thing. Like editing panos I take with the R4, like it's kind of another level, and it has to be a pretty good shot for me to actually merge it and edit it, because it takes quite a bit of puts my computer to work, that's for sure. So at the end of the day, I really like this camera, but it's not your your home run hit, I guess. It really does some things really well, and you kind of have to tame it, you kind of have to tame it in order to really get the most out of it. So yeah, I'm excited to get back up here, climb Torreys via that ridge, and it's really nice. It's a lot of mountains for not a lot of work, honestly. You get in the car and you drive, and you're at we're right close to the car, and we're at what is our elevation?
About 12,000 feet.
Yeah, 12,000, under 12.1. So